don't think we're people that want to continue to live on handouts from others. I think we've exhausted that particular concept. That's something that some people were comfortable with at a particular point in time in our history. But at this stage, I think most of the younger generation coming up now that are at the vanguard of moving into leadership in the country, basically are fed up with that. And not only just that, the idea.
I was just going to say the idea behind nonprofit and some types of aid is that really it's not working the way it should work. You go back home and you give out a few pencils and books. Yes, it's very appreciative and people need it, and things like that. But we need more. We need people to go back home and actually be there on the ground, doing something.
Yes.
Like I said, going back home and you give a few pencils, you may give a few sanitary items to the young girls and things like that, but they don't have anything that's going to last to look up to, Yeah. So that's how I see it.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100% in that, because that's, like I said, that was the issue I was going to try to identify, because I think if you go home and create employment opportunities, you create a job, you create jobs for people. Exactly. I mean, actually, or work on a for-profit business, because that's the one thing that's significantly absent in our community. We see a lot of people that run non-profits and charity organizations, but we don't see that many people, that many Sierra with actual businesses that are for-profit businesses, and that is significantly absent. I think that's the area that we need to turn our focus on, empower people. But that is a critical area in itself. Anyway, let me turn my attention to Mr. Bokari and talking about employment opportunities, in talking about, you talked earlier about narrowing, kind of looking at the focus of the locality in which these youth, most of these youth live. Like some of them live along the coastline where there's fishing opportunities. Some of them live in the interior where there's farming opportunities. There are other potentials too in many areas. I mean, these are just some of the stuff that come up to my head at this particular moment. Mr. Anson, you're in Sierra Leone, and you like I say, in the forefront of this issue every day. The issue of employment is a critical and chronic one. Milton addressed it. He said I was a bit generous earlier when I said about 50%. He says almost about 75%. Regardless of the number, I think it's a chronic issue. I think it's a very serious issue. Bokari, what do you have to say about the issue of employment, creating employment opportunities in the country for our youth, to have them gainfully employed and give them a future, in other words?
I can spend the whole day talking on this particular issue, but the point is that I'll go straight to direct solutions. In the first place, we need critical reforms in the country that will inspire young people into creation and innovation. We need to annually have a national youth trade and innovation fair. A fair that will create opportunities for young people to showcase their talent. If we have that fair, and it becomes an opportunity for us to market their talent, then we'll create markets for these young people in Sierra Leone and across the world. I have been to the Bahamas. I see the artists in Bahamas. They cannot do one thing of what Sierra Leonean youth can do in arts and crafts. So if we establish this national youth trade fair, where we can bring them to the national stadium and have them showcase their talent and actually reward them for their outstanding talent, and also use electronic media to market their products across the world, that is one huge opportunity we can create for them. Also, we need to identify the kind of market we have back home. Let us look at those that want to employ graduates. What are the skills that they are looking for? Those are the skills that we train young people for. So we need to take reforms in the learning institutions, the universities and colleges. We need to reform these institutions to, educate young people who are marketable. It's not just about giving degrees to people. You give BA generally, arts and all of this stuff. You are just giving them papers, but you're not making them employable. That's the huge challenge. Now, the current situation is that for those who find their way into the job market, they are underemployed. The take-home salary cannot take them home. It drops them at the bus stop. So we need to address this issue of underemployment also. We need to make sure that the take-home salary, government has to set that threshold, that this is the minimum wage and nobody pays below it. Okay, so you see that many companies come into the country. We want to create opportunities for young people, but also set the salary scale, that is appreciable. Okay, then we need to make sure that we have a sustainable approach to all of what we are seeing. If you look into the civil service, for example, right now, you have very elderly people who are benefiting from capacity building. But if you build their capacity and they retire the next day, are you building the capacity for Sierra Leone or are you wasting resources? So we need to look at those leakages and those wastages of resources.
Okay, all right.
We also need to do mapping. Okay, let me allow you to me.
Yeah, just go ahead and finish up your point, and I'll address some of the things that you just brought up.
Well, I was just saying mapping, which comes back to where I started. We need to now map, young people based on the different, localities we find ourselves in this country. This is a very blessed country. If one district is not a mining district, it's a fishing district. It's rich in agriculture. So let us see how we can come together as Sierra Leoneans from all over the world and actually bring in the resources that are needed in those parts of the country. Why do we want to go and export all the cocoa that we produce in our country? Why do we want to export all the diamonds? If you are out there and you cannot work with business people to bring polishing and cutting, in Sierra Leone. So we polish and cut our diamonds in this country. All of these are done by machines, and those machines can be shipped to this country. We can train Sierra Leoneans to handle those issues. So basically, we all need to put our hands on deck and do proper mapping and sustainable approach to our development of young people.
Wonderful. Now, the key thing that you brought up here is capacity building. Capacity building to build a foundation for Sierra Leone. Capacity building with the right focus. That is a critical issue there. We may talk about employment opportunities. We may talk about all this other stuff we want to talk about, but at the end of the day, it's about building the foundation. It's about building the foundation that's not just for the current youth, but for the youth to come 20 years from now, youth to come 40 years from now. Let that foundation stand there and be there for the youth. Whoever comes through has the opportunities presented to them. And this is not just about opportunities for those who know who. This is about opportunities for everyone in the country. And so
yes. The issue of who know who is when the labor market is limited. But the labor market is vast. And the demand for the employees, is high, then definitely, but the labor market is limited. Then it will always be on who know who. When jobs are limited in the diaspora, definitely the Americans will employ the Americans. But when the job opportunities are back, the Black Americans will also benefit. So let us expand the labor market.
Yes, I agree with you. And so that's it. Mr. Milton Magai, you interestingly enough, you have a name pick of the first leader of our nation, and I know you're somehow related. But I want to bring your focus to this issue. You've worked with youth in the Greenwich Borough in the UK in providing career advice and guidance. Right. And Mr. Bokariense just pinpointed an issue where he wants us to focus on having fairs, not just career fairs and fairs where people will come in to give advice to our youth, and they will have an opportunity to look at different opportunities that are there for them in life. What is your perspective on this particular? Mm-hmm.
Well, I definitely do agree with Bakari on having youth fair to actually market the skills and potentials of our youth. That's the difference between countries in the West and that of Sierra Leone. For example, when I was doing the career advice service with youths in Greenwich, the beauty is that they have a huge database of the youths in the borough. They know their skill sets. They know what trainings they've had before or what they need. So because of that, they could actually refer them to other agencies that could actually help them if they couldn't actually provide services for them. But we don't actually have that in Sierra Leone. Another panelist, Eunice, actually mentioned the lack of organization as well. We need to have a database about the youths we actually got in Sierra Leone. Not just a number or total number of youths unemployed, but actually break it down into different sections as to which youths actually have basic education, university degree, those without skills, etc. So you'll be able to help them. If you don't actually have those information as the starting point, it'll be very difficult to actually help the youths of our country. Like the youth fair as well is a very, very a good idea. Through that, companies are actually looking for people to work in their companies or institutions would be able to actually know which youths actually have the skills or what further trainings they might need to actually fulfill such roles as well. So that's very, very important, which I think we are very lacking in. The youths are not treated as individuals, they're just treated as a number, and that's a very big mistake.
Okay. All right. What Ms. Sarah mentioned Kelvin Doe, the young kid who came to MIT, the young kid that was able to scavenge parts from the trash pile to put together a radio. Yeah. We have a lot of potential in the country. I mean, this is not just talking about, you know, how people stand in the corners and talk about, oh, we have this, oh, we have that, we can do this, we can do that. But this is actual reality right here. How can we as a nation harness this type of potential and convert these youngsters, this not just as youngsters, but even adults, people who are adults right now, that have a lot of potential. Right. How can we make these people national treasures? How can we push and make our people understand that these people are not just, I mean, we're not trying to put them on a pedestal, make them special or whatever, but the point is we want to make sure that we recognize the potential that they have and the contribution that they can make to our society. How can we resolve an issue like that?
Well, first of all, Kevin, I'm very proud of the Sierra Leonean brother, and Kevin is a beacon of hope for all the youths in Sierra Leone. But unfortunately, not everyone can be Kevin Doe. He's just got special talents. For those without the talents, what we need to do is to provide the education that they need, the training. We need to support them on an ongoing basis, not just train them and leave them on their own. Systems here actually do follow people's progress from training to employment and keep advising and supporting them and inspiring them, as Ms. Jabe actually said. Inspiration is very important, but to actually inspire someone, you need to care about their well-being, which I think, by the look of things, it doesn't seem we care too much about the welfare or the future of the kids, because if we have figures like 70% unemployed and 50% illiteracy and unskilled youths in our country, that alone says it all. So I think we need to actually focus our attention in supporting, inspiring these youths to actually lead development in their countries and communities. Give them the life skills that they need. Not everyone could be a doctor, lawyer, or anything. What we're actually lacking in is that...
Because me turn on car.
Yeah. Hello? Yeah, we'll come right back to you. We'll get to you in a minute. Go ahead, Mr. My guy. Just finish up your point, and then we'll get
right. So I think that's what we actually need to do anyway. First of all, we need to get this database about all the kids, the youths in Sierra Leone, and see what help they need and what could be done. Because even though they said the economy is expanding, I can't actually see how the youths are benefiting because the situation is getting worse every day. We need to actually have a database on them. We need to know the resources we have in our mates and how this